Manchester United, the season started. 2 away defeats, 2 unconvincing home wins. I've got 2 very special guests, my co-host Travis, and making his debut on the channel is Naz. Let's see what's gone right, or more importantly, what's gone wrong for Manchester United in the 2023-24 season so far.
Header, but oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Yes, lads.
How you doing?
Manchester United. Half an hour. Let's thrash this out. Naz, welcome to the channel. Cheers for coming on, mate. We've been talking on Twitter for a couple of months now. Nice to finally see your face and meet you. Manchester United. 400 million spent, 3 transfer windows, Erik ten Hag, a new manager. Travis, we've had lots of discussions in the last 6 or 7 years about Jurgen Klopp. He won nothing for what, his first 3 years, was it? And we've always, like, you say, well, they won nothing. And I was like, but it was always about progress. Let's start straight from the top. Trav, have we seen enough progress under Erik ten Hag in the last 14 months?
Yes. The reason I say yes is because when he took over, there was a massive culture issue at United, which was going to take at least a couple of years to start shifting. That goes down to like the mentality of the players, the results we were getting, arguments, spats. There was a lot to sort out at United. And I think Ten Hag's come in, and in his first season, you can't necessarily argue with the results. In terms of the style of play and stuff, yeah, it remains to be seen in terms of progress and a sustainable brand that can compete with the big boys, which are obviously City and Liverpool of the last 5 years. But what I think you can say is that he has altered some of the culture with some of the players. I think with the amount of players that he's brought in, he's started to get a lot of his own men in. Obviously, it's quite well documented in terms of the recruitment. He's using players that he trusts and that he's relied on in the past. I think he's tried to do that because he's having to go to war, and he wants people that he can rely on. So in terms of progress, I think we've seen progress getting into the top 4, winning a cup. That's only going to breed confidence with the players going forward. But I think now, I mean, the start of last season and the start of this season, we haven't started either season well. And I think we're sort of just like weeding out what players he can go forward with. So yes, progress, not massive progress, but we have seen some progress from when he took over. Yes, I would say so.
Trav's been a bit down in the dumps, Naz, on the last couple of poddies. Obviously, Man United have not started great, but on this podcast, we like to wear our heart on the sleeve. And Trav's even been like, Ten Hag out, I've had enough. Like, it's not going well. What's your thoughts in his first 14 months? Are you seeing enough progress? And if there is a little bit of progress, like Trav's saying, isn't that normal after a 400 million outlay? That's minimum requirement, isn't it?
First of all, let me just say this. I'm not Ten Hag out. I'm all in. I'm all in. 400 million, yes, it's a hell of a lot. But if you look at some of the signings that we got, Anthony, we could have got it for half the price. Casemiro, I know I spoke to you about Casemiro today. Yet we shelled out quite a lot of money for him. But that was the last week of the transfer window. And progress-wise, yeah, I do think there's been progress. Not as much as when, say, for instance, Newcastle got taken over and new manager bounce and all of that. But I do think there's enough progress happening. You got to remember there was a lot of dead wood at United. A lot. I mean,
David De Gea.
There is. David De Gea left, and that's from the Fergie era. Okay,
that's crazy. To think we've got players from when Fergie's there is absolutely nuts, bro.
And I mean, okay, Mata and Fellaini came under Moyes. We've got Luke Shaw. I still think he's one of our best defenders there. I'd keep him. But it's about weeding out all the players that have just been stockpiled. And I think that's what Ten Hag has taken on, like issue after issue after issue. Yeah, it kind of is affecting the field, like on field. But progress in terms of play, I'm seeing it. There's a lot more passing going on. There's more build-up happening with United than there was, say, before Ten Hag came in. Obviously, we had Ranić and Solskjaer. I'm still optimistic. We started the season bad, yes. But we started last season bad. We finished with a trophy and 75 points. Not saying it won't happen again or it will happen again. Just it's progress that's taking place. So I'm still quite optimistic about it. And like the point that you made earlier, Scott, about Jurgen Klopp, you saw progress happening. I saw progress happening. He's had, to be fair, he had probably as bad squad as we did when he came in to take over from Brendan Rodgers. But I think the United project is, since Sir Alex Ferguson left, it was literally, we'll just chuck money at it. And that's never the solution. They never went down to the core problem. I mean, footballing structure for me, forget what the owners are doing and whatnot. The footballing structure is not there to support the manager and support the coaches and the team. So I do see progress.
Travis, have you briefed Naz before we come on?
I didn't. I promise. I didn't.
Structure.
It's all organic views, baby. All organic, mate.
You know what? Trav and I talk quite a bit, and we kind of have a lot of the same points that some people in our group that don't. But
yeah.
That's what makes football beautiful, as I said on the tweet today, wasn't it, Naz?
Yeah.
Obviously, look, if we strip it down to the bare bones, there's some fundamentals you just have to get right in football and in football management, isn't there? I think you can both agree you have to get your signings right. I'm talking minimum 80%, certainly of your first 10 signings. So 8 out your first signings have to be bang on. And then the second point is you have to pick up points away from home.
Yeah.
Now, I'm putting it to you two that I think Ten Hag has failed on both them counts. Definitely the away form, but if you want to dissect the signings,
I can mitigate a little bit against the recruitment, because over the past few years since Fergie left, the fans have always cried out for a manager to get full back in. Like, we go with what the manager wants, and that's never come. Under Ed Woodward, it was a very commercial operation. A lot of the signings were shirt sellers. Didn't necessarily fit into the team, but the likes of Ibrahimovic, Ronaldo, Di Maria, players like that just coming in, just selling shirts and making money for the club. Now, when Ollie was sacked and Ten Hag came in, before Ten Hag joined, he did say that he wouldn't join the club unless he got full control. He was warned by the likes of Louis van Gaal and stuff like that. So he was categorically clear that he was going to take the job. He was going to get full control. And I think what's caught him on the hop a little bit is the actual league itself. He's come into the league, and I think he thought he could play more possession football early on than he actually could. And then if you look in the early games, we was getting pressed so high, and obviously De Gea is quite notoriously known for not being able to play out, and we just were getting smashed. Like against the Brentford game, playing it in Eriksen, he was getting pressed. We were conceding a lot of goals, and he thought, well, I can't play this way. And it was quite evident in the first summer that he was here. We chased Frankie de Jong all summer and didn't get him. So that was meant to be that number 6/8, that ball playing, like press resistant player that he wanted to play through the lines. He ended up getting Casemiro. Now, Casemiro has his own qualities, but he's not anything like Frankie de Jong in terms of the type of player. So we've had to change the way we've played really early. Eriksen was sort of like a deep line playmaker next to him, and it was almost like a double pivot. But I don't think Erik ten Hag really wanted to play like that. So we've got through the season playing how he doesn't truly want to play. So this season he's gone back to how he really wants to play. And you saw in the first game against Wolves, you had more Mason Mount and Bruno as the 2 high 8s, Casemiro on his own, and everyone was saying we're looking quite exposed. So I think Erik ten Hag's sort of weighing up, can I really play how I played at Ajax in this league? And I think that remains to be seen. I think that's his biggest problem with the recruitment itself. He's not 100% sure how he needs to recruit. So if anything, as painful as it sounds, he might need another season to really figure out how he wants to move forward with the squad.
Is this his recruitment then? Do you both think this is his recruitment? He's like, not so much the final say, but these are his players, his targets that he's identified. He's building his team. I mean, like, on what planet would you sign, or could any of you make a case for signing, say, Mason Mount over Romeo Lavia for where Man United are now and what the team needs right now?
I mean, forget the whole Mason Mount thing. I mean, Johnny Evans. We've signed someone that left like 10, 12 years ago. And that speaks volumes. That's not an Erik ten Hag type of player. He's trying to get rid of the older players and bring in a younger bunch that work to his tactics. Now, if we're signing Johnny Evans, we signed Sabitzer on loan. We've got Weghorst. He never wanted Weghorst, but he took the option of having him because he was a striker that didn't know how to strike a ball. And he scored
Amrabat on loan, Reguilon on loan. This is
Do you know
Manchester
what?
United.
Loans.
I think the whole facade with Amrabat was just. Trav, I don't know what you think, mate, but it was a joke.
Yeah,
It's an FFP cover-up, isn't it?
Oh,
Like, you
it's
signed
100%.
him, it's just not going on the books till next summer.
Yeah, apparently there's a clause that if he plays a certain amount of games, we've got an obligation to sign him, and if we don't, then they extend his contract, and then the fee goes up if we do go for him. Reguilon, no, I think that's a stop. 100% it's a stopgap. It's only
that's
a
an
6-month
emergency.
contract.
Yeah,
We've got Malacia, we've got Shaw, we've got Fernandez that can play in the left back. Alvaro Fernandez, I'm talking about. So we've got the players there. It's. I don't think the recruitment take something from Erik ten Hag, and then I think they go slightly higher up, whoever they need to speak to, and they set a lower budget. Like we've had like 5 or 6 loans in the last 2 summers.
Yeah,
that's not Manchester.
What is that all
United.
about? That's what I mean. It's Manchester United. What on
earth
is going on?
Even Arsenal, when they were absolutely pants, before Arteta come in, they never signed any loan players like that. City haven't, Liverpool haven't. I mean,
they
not
signed a
even
few freebies though, didn't they? Now they signed Willian for free. They signed Cedric Suarez because they were skint. So this is a little bit. You got to remember, Man United have brought in these 5 loan players in the last 14 months, as well as spending 400 million.
Yeah, they've had to spend.
It just makes no sense.
It just amplifies what Ranić said about open heart surgery. It's just you've got to weed out the dead wood, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be even next summer we're going to be weeding them out. And the likes, we get the players in, and this is how bad the structure's been above. You get Harry Maguire in and put him on, I don't know, 200 odd K, and then you renew him at a higher rate. Sancho's on 350. I mean, yeah, we wanted Sancho. We wanted the Dortmund Sancho. And I don't know what we've got. We've got like a Sancho of Wish. It's so bad. It is so bad. But I still back him, regardless of what he said about the manager. I don't think he should have said any of that. Just keep your mouth shut, put your head down, like Rashford did.
It's still on his Twitter, isn't it? It's still now.
He's taking it down now.
He's taking it down.
Yeah. Is that because Goldbridge was putting pressure on him?
I think so. Look, to me, it's not within Sancho's best interest to sort of dig his heels in, though, because like he's not playing for England, and when you come to a club like United, if you don't rip it up and you leave at such a young age, the only way is down. Like there's so many examples of players his age that came to United with high potential and they've not done it, and they just, I'm not saying they fall off the face of the earth, but Memphis Depay is another massive example of that. Came to United, bags of potential, was ripping it up before, had a decent tournament at international level, in and out the side, and he's going from loan after loan, Lyon, Atletico Madrid, all these like not average clubs, but just slightly above average, but not the sort of status as United. And I think that's one of the big problems United have had. I mean, I had a discussion with my mum about this. She's a huge Arsenal fan, and when we're talking about United, a lot of players, they do come for the status and they hang on to that status for dear life because they know that they're not going to get a club better than that before they leave. And we pay them massive amounts of money like Maguire's and stuff. And Scott was right with that. He did end up staying in the end. Man United were actually willing. I watched a video today. Man United were actually willing to pay the full 10 million in wages for him to go. And he still said no to West Ham. We accepted it. Yeah, go on.
Sorry to cut you there. Then whose fault do you reckon that is?
Yeah, well, how could he not accept
whose fault do you reckon what is? That he stayed
him on, not even the state.
Oh, the club, the club paying him too much in the first place. And like you said, we've got so many of those players. You could reel off a whole list, Eric. The list goes on about players that have been there since like Mourinho's first season, or even Louis van Gaal, Martial, another one. Players that should have just gone. They're well past the sell-by date. At top clubs, they normally have a window of player. They have a few specialist players that will stay there for like 7-8 years. But after that, maximum, you get 3, 4, 5 good years out of a player and then you move them on. That's what should be happening at top clubs. And it's not happening at United.
Look at, even when they're a top player, look at Cancelo. He fell out with the manager. Pep was like, see you later, go. I mean, Pep bought in Claudio Bravo. within one season says he's rubbish. Get him off. Get someone else in.
Edison.
And it's the ruthlessness. And I don't think Erik ten Hag, he's got the ruthlessness there, but I don't think he has the support above him. So I'm talking like John Murtaugh, Richard Arnold. I don't think they support him in that because they're too scared of what the owners are going to say. At the end of the day, for them, it's shirt sales.
They are massively out the depth, them too. Yeah. They are.
It's basically pure for shirt sales only.
But even if they supported him, you can't get people off the books if they're on 250k a week and they don't want to go and they're not going to move to Aston Villa or West Ham for 100k a week. You are literally, this is what has happened now with Man United. You're literally stuck with them.
It's a huge
until the contract goes down.
It's a huge problem for United in terms of the player sales. I mean, believe it or not, we actually got rid of 14 players this summer as well, which just shows how much Deadwood was there. Playing like Antile Alanga, he ended up going. Dean Henderson, again, I could reel off another list of players. Fred went. There's loads of them, and people wanted the likes of Maguire and McTominay to go, which I'm sure we're going to touch on McTominay in a bit. But there's other players as well that still need to leave Manchester United Football Club. I mean, we've got an issue at centre forward, and I know Højlund's not played, but it's not enough. We've literally got one fit striker that we've been playing with for over the last couple of years. Really, we've not had a proper centre forward for years at United, which has been a massive downfall for us. So until we get two proper centre forwards at the club, then we can start to move forward. But again, I think Ten Hag's going to need definitely this season again to start weeding out some bad eggs and getting a good style of play nailed down for next summer's recruitment.
Let's talk about the actual style of play then. Naz, I take it you watched the Man United Wolves game. I've never seen, never mind one of my mates, Trav, I've never seen a football fan so down after a win. It was like you lost the manner of the victory.
I'll be
so bad.
I'll be straight with you. Even when Varane scored, I didn't even celebrate. we didn't deserve it.
Did you go to the game, Naz? Did you go to the game?
Didn't go to that one. No, I had a ticket for it, but I didn't go to it.
You didn't.
Hitch got me one. But the thing is, it was the state of that play.
And just carving through you, weren't they, every 5-10 minutes?
What I don't understand is where's the player intellect? Where's the IQ? There's no footballing IQ. I mean, for me, if I was the captain and I stand there like Bruno, I would have told him, go back, or I sit back. You're on the play. You're on the field. You be the field manager. You are the captain of that club. Starting 11's there. It's your responsibility on the field. Somebody should have had the technical nous to go back in there and say, right,
but that's got to be on Ten Hag though, Naz. Surely if you start overruling him on the pitch and coordinating players, you're mugging Ten Hag off. That's on Ten Hag, surely.
Not necessarily. Because if you look at players like Roy Keane, back in the day, he was shouting out instructions on what happens in that midfield when he's there. I do put some blame on Ten Hag. I'm not going to turn around and say he's the perfect manager for us. At this moment in time, he's doing a great job, and I want him to say, but he's not faultless. And he needed to plug that gap. He didn't plug that gap. And then the same thing happened Forest as well. I mean, how can Rashford be the last defender back? That's your striker. Our left winger that's playing a striker in that game. How can he be the last man back? What I didn't understand was why Martinez went up for a corner. He's not going to win the ball in the air. And it was just frustrating. And
the organisation. I mean, echoing what Naz is saying, really. Leadership's been a problem in our team for a number of years now. Like, we lack with footballers, you've got natural born leaders, players who are just born to lead, like your Van Dijks and your Roy Keanes, and then leaders can be created as well, and that does come down to management. Players like Jordan Henderson, before he went to Liverpool, there was no way anybody could have envisaged the career he would have had at Liverpool before he would have been signed. But that is down to management, coaching, instilling that confidence and self-belief in players to go out and do a job. Now, again, it goes back to time. Like, for Ten Hag to create leaders, I think there are glimpses of players that you can see being leaders within the team. Players like Martinez, for me, looks like a leader. When he's playing, when he's on his game and he's being consistent, he looks like somebody that can be a leader. I've not seen Højlund yet, but he looks like somebody who can be relied upon. And he needs to create those leaders, and that comes over time. But in those first couple of games, especially like Naz said, you need someone to be able to grab the game by the scruff of the neck from a tactical point of view, as well as the manager. It is down to the manager to look at that, but on the pitch as well, you can see you getting dominated in midfield. Players like Casemiro, who I'm surprised that he should be screaming at people, dragging them in, getting help in midfield, making sure that we're not getting outnumbered. So yeah, the leadership's a huge problem for United, and hopefully that gets better over time.
It's
Naz,
just a little bit of reflection. Sorry, I was just going to make one point. It's like when Gerrard, when the game wasn't going well, Gerrard got the game by the scruff of the neck. And there's so many clips of him shouting at players to get back into positions. And I don't think that's disrespect to the manager. I just think he can
Does
see
Bruno do that?
I think Bruno
is Bruno
does
a leader?
Yes. Yes.
See, I just
he's
don't
the type
and I
of
know
player.
that's probably a bit of Liverpool bitterness, but when I look at Trav just mentioned Martinez, Casemiro's won the lot. Put some respect on his name. Give him the captain's armband. I see Bruno way down the pecking order.
I do see him as the captain, but he's the type of player that any rival fan would hate to play against, but love to have in their team. He's he moans quite a lot, but you know what? I don't actually mind that. I don't mind that. Get in the ear of the ref. So many great captains have done that in the past. Do it. Just the one thing I don't like about him is constant play acting, diving on the floor, and then that just encourages the likes of Anthony to do the same thing. So
and it antagonizes opposition as well, and it gets them fired up. Sometimes it can have an adverse effect. I think as a captain, like you said, your temperament most of the time has to be on point. And with Bruno, sometimes you can get easily distracted by other things. And he's one of those players like, I like Bruno a lot as a player, but do you know, when I look at some of his like post-match stuff in his interviews, and he remembers what people say on Twitter, he's very involved in that sort of stuff. And I think that's the only side of him that lets him down. Like when he comes out saying, "Oh, I've heard he's been saying this about me," and don't get me wrong, he shows good character. Like he wants to right those wrongs and prove people wrong. But like as a professional footballer, he should be forgetting all that. He should be concentrating on his job on the pitch to lead the team. So, I mean, I'm sure the players look happy with him. I think he's well respected in the dressing room. You can see that on the pitch. The players respect him. But I think he's just got a little bit more to learn in the role. But again, time. He's only just been made captain. Next year, you might see him perform a little bit better in that role, and I'm hoping so.
Obviously, from a rival fan perspective, obviously the Greenwood stuff went down. He was such a talent. He's been shipped out. It's had an inevitable end to it. But my God, I'm not going to feel sorry for Ten Hag, but you just put that to bed and then all this Anthony stuff breaks. Like, what on earth is going on? And how is this one going to end?
Yeah.
Is he suspended or gardening leave? What's the situation right now?
It's almost like gardening leave. He's going to take some time away from the first team until this is sorted. I don't want to pass any judgment or make any comments regarding it because obviously it's still going on and I don't want to say something that's completely wrong. I don't know. It just, the whole situation just looks an utter state. And that's a reflection of our club at the moment.
A state as in, just say it, Naz. Just say it. A state as in he's messed up, he's guilty, or Trav is putting some screen grabs where it looks like he's getting fitted up here.
It's, do you know
what? Go on, Naz. Say it.
Just be confident, Naz.
We'll back you up on it, mate. Go on.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know if he's innocent, but some of the stuff that's come out and that I've read, I don't know what's true and what's not. But bloody hell, it's just like. They're like
what is it he's been accused of, lads? And you can talk openly.
Hitting.
Maybe if we had 10,000 subscribers, I'd tell you to watch your mouth, but we haven't. We're nearly at 1,400, by the way. So if anyone's tuning in, hit that like and subscribe, by the way. It's really helping us out. What's he been accused of? Slapping girls about behind his wife's back, is it? Has he been cheating?
I don't think he's been cheating. No, we know that he's definitely been unfaithful. Okay. But I think, to me, it sounds like an assault or some sort, domestic violence in some capacity. I don't know if the women that are involved who have accused him of anything are his official partners or it's people that he's just sleeping with or being intimate with. I'm not sure what sort of relationship he has with these women. That's the difficulty. And like you said, it is very difficult to comment when you don't know the details and the ins and outs. The United Stand is an account which most Man United fans sort of look at or follow in some capacity. They've actually taken some quotes from somebody on Instagram who gave them the content to suggest that some parts of it have been fabricated and Anthony's being set up. Again, don't quote me on that. That's just what I've read online. So
a lot of disclaimers going on here, Naz.
Yeah, like, mate, you got to be careful in this day and age, mate, online.
Exactly why
you're going to have a lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm literally just using direct quotes. There's a lot of stuff out there. Obviously, she's got the people in question have got their side of the story. Anthony's got his own. It's a mutual leave between the club. It's been agreed that he's better off not playing while this is over his head. And to be quite honest with you, it'd be very difficult to perform at your top level while you've got things like that hanging over you. So I think it's the correct decision, and especially with the Greenwood thing that's just gone on. The club can't afford to make any mistakes with the handling of the situation at all. It's already very frosty with people saying Richard Arnold should resign from his position and stuff like that. So again, they can't afford to make any mistakes. So I think it does everybody favors if he's not in the team. It's not a distraction to the team. It's not a distraction to the manager. And at the end of the day, this is about football for Manchester United. I know there were bigger issues, but let the law deal with that. We've got football matches to win. And at the moment, like you said, we're very inconsistent in terms of the way we're playing. And Ten Hag needs players that can play in the team. That's it.
Is Travis, sorry to pick your brains, is this recent allegations? Like, has he committed these alleged crimes playing for Man United, or is this from 2 or 3 years ago?
I think it's dating back to some of it was dating back to when he was at Ajax, because what I've read is he flew one of the ladies in to Holland who was from like Brazil and things like that, and he was in and out of Brazil. I think it was while he was in the off season, a lot of this was happening and stuff in between clubs and stuff. So again, yeah, very difficult to determine in terms of a timeline, but I just hope it's resolved sooner rather than later. I mean, you just want everybody to be safe and the right decisions to be made, and hopefully everybody can get on with the football side of things and we can get back to what we're doing and enjoying as fans.
100%.
What a 14 months is Ten Hag had. The Ronaldo fiasco, the Greenwood debacle, and now the Anthony, what could we call that? The Anthony saga. Dan's joined us. Cheers, Dan. Man United's season is a hoisin duck and spring onion wrap drive. I'm hungry now. Prison FC.
Oh, God.
United must be sick of this revolving news door. It's just crazy, isn't it? Like we said, the timing straight after. Basically, you put the Greenwood thing to bed, shipped him out on loan, and then this broke. But anyway, on to some more. What's that?
There was more that came out in the same week. I think we had like 5 days and 4 of them were like bad news. We had the old coach that was convicted paedophile, and then he got invited back to the game. It's just a shambles at the moment.
Yeah.
Listen, lads, no one will judge you, okay? Both of you, it's not too late to just support Liverpool, okay? Man United are disappointing you both, okay? So due to legal reasons, you can defect and support another club, and Liverpool are welcoming with open arms, okay?
Not a chance. Not a chance in hell.
Right, on to more positive things. Naz, me and Trav are not having murders, but we're in a big disagreement. I don't think Onana's is a big upgrade on De Gea. What's your take? I think Travis wants him to be, so he thinks he is, but he's fooling himself, tricking himself.
I would say wait until the end of the season. I honestly do think that he's an upgrade on De Gea. Distribution-wise, I can see your face. You're like edging to come towards me. But if you look at it, from the first 4 games of this season, attackers don't really press him as much. Even Arsenal sat off him. Whereas last season, whoever was in there, even in the bottom half of the table, like Everton were like hunting him down. And I think was it Calvert-Lewin? I think it was last season, or it might have been the season before, hunted him down, and De Gea kicked it straight into him and went into the goal. So it's just like, I see the distribution wise, Ten Hag wants to start from the back. And if you look at City, if you look at Liverpool, and if you now look at Arsenal, they're all doing similar things anyway. So they needed a presence who was comfortable on the ball. And he's 10 times better on the ball, 100 times better than De Gea. His distribution's much better. He gets the ball up quicker. If he needs to bypass the midfield or the defense, he does it. Saves wise, we're 4 games in. We're 4 games in.
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about that Nottingham Forest goal where one year went clean for on goal, and he had 2 options: close him down and try to save it, or sit on your ass and let it go in.
And he sat on his ass. But again, don't forget, Rashford got back. Rashford should have made a proper tackle, but he didn't. And then, do you know what? That was just, you could play clown music, you can play circus music, and that's what happened when it
Benny Hill music.
Yeah, 100% Benny Hill. But I say hold off reservation. I'm still optimistic about him. It's a new club, new surrounding, new teammates, new country, new league. I would say hold off because he proves a lot of doubters wrong. I mean, he's put onto the Ballon d'Or list for the goalkeepers for a reason. I was quite surprised Alisson wasn't on there, but he was on that Ballon d'Or list for a reason. He played well
because he got to the Champions League final.
Yeah, exactly, and he made some big saves in that final. He kept them in it.
Yeah,
I'm not basing it just on one game.
Man. And on a top draw. Look, the way you got to see it is 2 things. The first thing, De Gea hasn't even got a club. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he's dead, but if he was still at the top level, like people are making out, because they're making these direct comparisons in regards to Onana, he'd be playing now. Do you know what I mean? He's not in a club at the moment. And obviously, his wages, that could have been a huge stumbling block for him getting a club. But no, he wasn't deserving of that 300 grand. He was never going to get that at another top club after leaving United. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, it's how Ten Hag wants to play. Like, De Gea was never a bad goalie, but the way we want to play is from starting from the back, and we want our goalkeeper to be an extra option in possession, and Onana does that in abundance. Like you said, a goalkeeper's main job is to save the ball, but Onana does save the ball. I mean, if you look at the stats with De Gea in his last 18 months to 2 years, he was massively down on numbers in terms of saving the ball as well. Like, De Gea made a lot of errors leading to goals. It was weird. I think he had the most clean sheets, so he got the Golden Glove, but he also had the most errors leading to goals as well. So he was like, not only was he saving us in games, he was costing us points as well. And then if you look at the cup final, he should have saved at least one of those shots, and we lost 2-1. So he arguably not cost us the cup as an individual, but he played a massive part into us not being able to win that game. So when the crunch times come in the big games, he's not a keeper that could be relied on anymore. He was fantastic for us, don't get me wrong. He had an amazing career, but in the last 2 to 3 years, he was making huge errors for United, which was costing us. So we had to move on. And regardless of what keeper we got, he was always going to be under massive pressure because he was going to be compared to the De Gea.
Words out my mouth. I was just going to say it. Because you let De Gea go for free as well, that puts more pressure on Onana. Like, we rate you so highly, we're going to let De Gea leave on a free, bring you in on obviously a big fee off the back of a Champions League final, and then God bless Onana. He's going to be playing out from the back now to Maguire and Johnny Evans.
but the good thing is,
what are you doing to him?
Good thing is, he's got that personality. What he said is, in his own words, I don't give a shit what people think about me.
Yeah.
Whereas De Gea was completely the opposite. I mean, the guy was going onto social media, putting up apology videos. It's like, well, I don't want an apology. Just do your fucking job. Sorry, excuse me. And Onana's that presence. He does not give a damn. He's a shithouse, basically, like Martinez. He's played with him like Martinez. He's a shithouse, like Casemiro, like Anthony, like Bruno. And I think that he will step up. It's just going to take a little bit of time to do it. We paid about 40 odd million for him. I think it's about 45 million or so.
Yeah, about 43, 43, 45.
Yeah, which I don't think is a massive outlay for a goalkeeper in this day and age at the moment. It's more or less the type of player he's going to try and be when he doesn't have Maguire and Evans in front of him. I mean, that's Leicester's relegation duo there. And it's just like they're at United in 2023. But the good thing is the injuries are wearing off. So let's see how it goes with Onana. I like him. I'm all Onana in. Like Trav said as well about De Gea not being attached to a club. Mate, Saudi don't even want him. He's a free transfer, and Saudi are like splashing cash like there's no tomorrow. And they don't even want him,
couldn't they?
Yeah. Atletico Madrid said at the start of the window when you got released that we'll take you, but you got to be a third choice keeper. Third choice.
Third choice.
Yeah.
Wow. I can only imagine the
So,
wages he was offered to be third choice.
yeah, and he still said no. So it speaks volumes when a so-called world-class goalkeeper at this stage, before he was, but the game has moved on so much now, it's different types of play that he can't handle.
Yeah.
And because it's moved on, he doesn't fit. The football's moved on. You need to evolve with it. I love De Gea. I thought he was a great servant for the club, but sorry, you have to move on, and they've done it now. And it just shows, like, we're in September now, second week of September, and still no one has signed him.
Yeah, it is. It's damning, as you say. The opposite end of the field, Højlund, he looks a handful. Cameo appearance against Arsenal. You must be excited about him.
Yeah, I am personally. He did look good when he came on. Like you said, he playing up against Gabriel and Saliba, two powerhouses at centre half for Arsenal as well. And he held his own. He didn't look out of place at all. I think he is going to be the player that takes us up 20% because, like you said, we've not had a striker for so long. And our wingers at United, our fan base, like really took into our wingers a lot in terms of productivity and how well they're doing. Players like Sancho, Anthony gets a lot of bullets. Garnacho's still young. Even Rashford with his productivity, there's sections of the fan base that hammer Rashford as well. So when you've not got a centre forward at a football club, how are you meant to link with players as a wide player? All you can do is pass it to a central midfield player or a fullback. It must be a nightmare for an attacking player who likes to link with a centre forward. So the fact that Højlund is more of a complete player as well, because even with the offside goal with Garnacho, it was a great little layoff around the corner for Casemiro just before he slid him in. That's what he can do to feet, but then he's also a monster in behind as well. Like, he's rapid, strong. I think he's got the lot, really. So attributes wise, I'm really positive about him. I think we just need to get him on the team as soon as possible. Like you said, he came with that back injury. Seems like every player we've signed come with a back injury as well.
Rugback FC, Skip said, didn't he?
Change his name to Amraback, innit? Amraback. But yeah, if we can get Højlund in the team, mate, I think it's gonna take us up a notch. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Naz, did you want Højlund, or would you have liked to have gone all out for a 30-year-old Harry Kane? A la Robin van Persie in 2012, was it?
Yeah. See, the thing is, I knew Kane wasn't coming. So there was no point for me to be like, oh my God, let's go for Kane. United have to do it. Oh, it's all Arnold's fault that we didn't get. We knew he wasn't coming. We've dealt with Levy in the past. And when we signed Carrick, he kicked up a storm. When we signed Berbatov, he kicked up a huge storm until Berbatov pushed it through. So I knew Harry Kane wasn't coming because we even dipped in for Bell and we got the door shut in our face. They'd rather sell him for less going to Madrid than coming to us. So that says it all. So I wasn't really building my hopes on that. I wanted a young striker, and I'll tell you why I wanted a young striker. Since 2008, United have only signed one striker under the age of 30.
Oh, don't make me cry, bro. It's horrible.
What? That's Lukaku. I mean, if anyone else can tell me otherwise, Berbatov was 30 when he came. Lukaku was 26. We've had loan moves for Falcao. We've had Larson. We've had Ibrahimovic. We've had Ronaldo back. We had Igalo. Falcao. We've got Weghorst. And that's like 7 or 8 strikers just there, all over 30. Rooney, I think, was the last time we had a proper centre forward until he got moved into midfield. So that speaks volumes, and we're not going to sign it. So for us United fans and some of obviously the new generation, they're going to see a proper striker up front. And that's what we've been crying out for a hell of a long time. And look at Bruno last night, 3 assists, feeding a person that he's got a striker in there for Portugal. Yeah, so I'm not saying every single pass is going to go in, but if all your midfielders are creating chances, the likelihood of anybody being in the box is going to be a midfielder who can score, but he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, a poacher, a fox in the box. Now I think we've got someone like that who can hold up play like he did against Saliba and Gabriel and bring others in, where I think Mount might actually excel if he gets into whatever position he gets into. So I am excited about Højlund. I would have liked a more experienced striker in there as a backup or being starting and Højlund just easing in a bit. But we got a 20-year-old up front, and he seems like he's got all the right attributes. It's just hopefully he can develop, and I'm really excited to see him. I can't wait for the Brighton game.
We've got to see his eye test first as well, haven't we? You know, that first chance in his first start, if he snatches it like Darwin Núñez, the opposition fans will be on his back. There'll be memes, there'll be montages on Twitter, and that's when a test of a young man, a young striker, can be at risk, basically, isn't it?
I get that, but the thing is, and one of my closest mates is a staunch Liverpool fan. He's complete staunch, but he's down the middle. He says it how it is. He thinks Núñez is going to be
like
absolute crap. Well, yeah. He thinks Darwin Núñez is not going to be great, but obviously this season he thinks he's brilliant so far. We had this discussion, and I think Núñez came back off the back of a 30-goal season for, who did he play for? Benfica. Yeah, Benfica. Yeah. He's going to, again, like the Onana thing, he's got a new league, new teammates, new area, new country, whatever. He's got to fit in. And he was amazing against Newcastle. And I'm not going to say Højlund's going to have that sort of impact, but he's in that same sort of age bracket. He's still learning his trade. He's going to learn a new way to play as well under Ten Hag. And I do think he's going to do well, but we've got a striker that can finally help our team.
Yeah, so that's the main
thing. Yeah.
Especially after you've been emotionally abused with Weghorst for 6 months. Højlund is obviously going to look like prime Ibrahimovic, isn't he? Dan says, seeing how McTominay plays as part of a front three for Scotland, do you think he's being utilised too deep at United? Well, he's not being utilised at all, is he, Trav? It's 4 games into the season, in every podcast, even me, who rates McTominay highly, I'm like, get him in a double pivot with Casemiro. This is like craziness. He's not even getting starts, is he?
I know, and I hate it because you've said for ages that you rate him, and you have done, and I've always used.
I rated him more than Pogba. Look how that's turned out this week.
I know. No, you did. No, you did. You always called it, and like I said, I'll always hold my hands up when you call something, and I've always either disagreed with it or whatever. But like you said, McTominay for Scotland is like a different player, and the way we've been playing McTominay with next to Fred, and we say that he always hides and stuff. It's true because he's not a player that picks it up off the back four and starts attacks. He's not that type of player, and he's never been that type of player. In the academy, he started off as a striker. When he was transitioning into the reserves and the move in the first team, he did move back a little bit, but he was still more like an attacking box-to-box type midfielder. He's never really been that sort of defensive type player that we've sort of asked for him from the last 3 years. And when you think back to it, as much as I hammered Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he actually did a job. It wasn't an amazing job, but he did as good a job as he did to say that he was playing out of position. But I'm quite staggered actually with the injuries we've had at the start of the season, especially in the midfield areas, that he's not got more of a chance. I know he's come on towards the end of games for 10 minutes to shore it up against sort of Forest and Wolves. But I would have thought that he would have got more of an opportunity to at least play half an hour in one of those games, especially the away games. I mean, the Spurs game, as soon as we lost to Wolves, I said McTominay needs to be in the midfield, whether Mount moved to one of the wider positions or something. But I thought there's no way we can play against the likes of Basuma and Sarr going in there with just Casemiro and Mason Mount. It just looked too lightweight on paper and it didn't have enough legs. And I wanted McTominay to come in that game. But again, the fan base were like, well, we need Amrabat in. He would be playing in these games. And it's true, that Amrabat saga just dragged on for so long. It looked like Erik Ten Hag didn't fancy McTominay. But I think McTominay's been a little bit unlucky to not get as many minutes as he's got at the start of the season. So hopefully after the international break, he's used a little bit more, but we'll see.
He's got so many strings to his bow. Obviously, I like the attributes of McTominay. He's big, he's strong, he's mobile, he's agile. But for Scotland, he was playing in a back three, wasn't he? Now he's in a front three for Scotland. Yeah. I just think he's a good quality baller. He's not 60, 70 million, but 30, 35 million. And obviously, Naz, you must have been watching how Liverpool were struggling last season with a dearth of quality midfielders. I kept saying to Travis on podcasts, I would take McTominay at Liverpool last season. He was an upgrade on what we had on Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain. But anyway, this isn't a McTominay appreciation podcast, so we're going to move on. What on earth are we going to do now that Greenwood's gone, Sancho's on the blacklist, and Anthony. Palestri, did you say, Trav? And who is he? And can Garnacho not move over there?
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. I mean, you've got Palestri that comes off the bench and does his cameos for 20, 25 minutes. He looks really good. Not afraid to take on his man. He'll get round behind the last man and try and work the byline and get the ball in. He's not afraid. He's young. He's hungry. He wants to get in. But again, like you said, Garnacho as well. There's an opportunity for Garnacho to go out on the right and now make it his own if he wants to. I still think he's better on the left. And with Rashford, it's a bit of a difficult one. But now there's a vacant spot there for him to go on there. I'm not as worried as the Twitter meltdown that happens after every little thing that happens with United.
Is that Travis?
Yeah,
no,
me.
Not Trav. No, not Trav. It's just like
I don't mind. It is me. I melt down a lot, mate. Don't worry about that.
He melts down a lot, but not at this point. But the thing is, all right. Sancho was in and out of the team. He was behind Palestri anyway, coming off the bench and stuff like that. Anthony, I think Anthony must be Erik ten Hag's love child, because despite his poor performances, he still gets into that team. He gives us more balance. Don't get me wrong. He does give us a lot of balance, but now being second season, he needs to kick on, and he hasn't just yet. And now everything that's happened, the opportunity is there for Palestri to nail down that position. Defensively, he works hard as well. He tracks back a lot. He makes runs and opportunities for the ball to be passed out to him to try and stretch the teams. So I do think he's good. I think we've got enough options available to us. I don't see it being much of an issue as how much it's been blown up in the media. United have lost this person, lost that person, and all the injuries piling up. The injuries are actually easing off, and players like Mainoo's coming back as well, who again, I'm very, very excited about Mainoo. But I think
if I'm Erik ten Hag, the best thing I can do is put Palestri in, because the pressure that the club's under at the moment, somebody from the academy that the fans can fall in love with, he's young, exciting, he starts for Uruguay already, so he's obviously got something about him. He plays with Nunes and stuff at such a young age. And what you guaranteed from him is work rate and passion. You know he's going to track. Brighton's a tough game. He's going to be up against a Stupinian if he starts, which is going to be a massive test for him, because he's probably one of the best left backs in the league, to be honest with you. But just give something for Estupinian to be unpredictable against. He doesn't know much about Palestri. I think it's the ideal opportunity for him to just say, go out there and play without fear. And I think the fans will adhere to that, to be honest. I think it's what 100. We need. It's the spark that the club needs. And if he can come off the pitch with a good performance and we can get a win on Saturday, I think it might be a timely boost for the club.
Especially against
48 minutes. Yeah, sorry, Naz. You just about? I think you might be saying the same as me. Who's your next couple of games against, and how many points are you predicting you'll pick up? Obviously, you want 6 or 9 from the next 2 or 3, but who you got in the next couple of games?
We've got Brighton on Saturday, and
at
then
home.
We've got Brighton at home. Then we've got Champions League game against Bayern Munich away. Then we've got Palace back to back, haven't we, in the Carabao Cup, and in the end of the month as well, we've got Palace, I believe. Yeah. I don't know about who else is after that.
Burnley as well. Burnley.
Oh yeah, Burnley and Brentford as well, I think.
Yeah, and Brentford. Yeah, so Burnley, Brentford. Yeah, Palace back to back, and Brighton. So winnable games. I mean, the Brighton game is going to be tough, and that's going to be, if we lose that game, it's going to be crisis, panic stations. You will see a meltdown. But if we can come out with the 3 points in that game and then put a little bit of a run together, like I said, against Crystal Palace, Burnley, Brentford, and next minute you've picked up 12 out of 12, and you start, and your league position starts to look a lot different, and the pressure eases a little bit. So again, this week is an important week for Manchester United. If we've got Brighton, we have to win that game, because if we lose that game and then go to Bayern away and get slapped as well, it's going to look peak, especially with the players that we've got out as well. So I think we've just got to just hope that we can get through the Brighton game and then go to Bayern and keep the score down, really. If we can come away with a respectable, not a respectable loss, but if we can go out there and put in a good performance, if we lose narrowly is what it is. As long as we don't get heavily spanked, then I'm sure the fans will sort of half accept that.
Who'd have thought 2 to 3 years ago, Man United fans would be praying for a home win over Brighton? I mean, that just shows how far Man United have failed, but also how high Brighton have got recently. It's crazy times, isn't it? There's hardly any easy games in the Premier League anymore. Last season, definitely. This season, obviously, you got Sheffield United, you got Luton. So there are a few gimmies. Probably Everton are going to go down, but that's the beauty of the Premier League. Right, lads, that's 50 minutes. Are we all going to go and watch England, Scotland? You're watching it?
Yeah. I'm going to make some food and watch the game.
Same.
Yeah, Naz, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, Naz,
thank you for having me.
I definitely hope you've enjoyed it. You're welcome on anytime. Me and Trav will be dropping your inboxes on Twitter after a big game, and if you want to come on and give your thoughts or a pre-game warm-up preview. I'm going to go back onto Instagram, Naz, where I've been getting absolute dog's abuse for the last 12 hours. I've done a short on Haaland winning the Ballon d'Or before Messi. And it's gone a bit viral on Instagram, and people on Instagram have been they want me dead. I think
you know what?
They want me to jump off the edge of a cliff. Like, I'm scared of even going on reading the comments. I go on every hour, and it's like another 500 views, another 100 likes, and another 20 death threat messages, basically calling me an idiot.
Hey.
Drop me your Instagram handle on Twitter, and I'll follow you.
It's onto the ball. Everything's onto the ball. Onto the ball, yeah.
I think we may have similar views on that, what you said. But I had a whole debate about it this week as well. But
nice.
Well, listen, Naz, don't go on Instagram and start giving me more dogs abuse, all right? Listen, Messi fans, I'm sorry, okay? It was just my opinion. I didn't mean any harm. I didn't want to upset you or hurt your feelings. It's just all banter, okay? But there's people on the comments, Naz, literally joining forces to hate me. That's how mad it got. But it's all good fun.
It is.
Okay, lads, right. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks to both of you for joining. If anyone's made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. Me and Trav will definitely see you on the next one. And it sounds like Naz is not going to be a stranger, so you'll see him again. Nice one. Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a